In 2026, nobody in Britain can afford a home. The entire housing system has shut millions of ordinary people out completely. So where do you go when there is nowhere left? Right now, millions are living in their cars, and in this video we are exposing exactly how it got this bad. Number 10. The catastrophic decline of social housing. Let's start where the crisis actually began. Social housing used to be Britain's genuine safety net. In the 1960s, this nation built 1.24 million social housing units, a genuine commitment to ensuring every family had a secure home. But that changed dramatically. By the 2010s, that number had collapsed to a mere 150,000 units annually. Think about that decline. We are building fewer social homes now than we were building every single year in the 1960s. Between 2023 and 2024, England shed over 20,000 social homes while constructing fewer than that number. We are bailing water from a boat that is sinking, while someone keeps drilling bigger holes at the bottom. The waiting list for social housing now stretches over 1.3 million households. 1.3 million people waiting, sometimes decades, for homes they will never receive. This scarcity did not just happen by accident, it was engineered through deliberate policy. Conservative policies of the 1980s, particularly the right to buy scheme, systematically demolished our social housing stock without any replacement. The government incentivized councils to sell off their homes, and nobody built new ones to replace them. In 1980, 31% of Britain's housing stock was social housing. Today, that has dropped to just 17%. That is not a gradual decline. That is a deliberate dismantling of the welfare state, and we are all paying the price today. Number 9. The Hunger Games of the private rental market. With social housing essentially extinct, millions have been forced into the private rental sector, a predatory market with zero regulation and maximum exploitation. Private rents in England are now averaging £1,434 per month. In London, that figure jumps dramatically to £2,280 per month. For context, average UK household income is around £37,000 a year before tax. That's roughly £3,000 a month before any deductions. Renters on medium household income are now spending 36.3% of their earnings just on housing costs. In London, it's 41.6%. The government considers housing affordable when it costs less than 30% of income. Britain is failing that test spectacularly across every single region. The worst part, almost nobody can afford to live anywhere anymore. Between April and October 2024, only 2.5% of privately rented properties advertised in England were affordable for people relying on housing benefits. 2.5%. That means 97.5% of available properties are completely out of reach. Families are forced to find an additional £337 a month for a one-bedroom flat, £326 a month for two-bedroom homes. This is not competition. This is extortion dressed up as a market economy. Landlords charge whatever they want because demand is infinite and supply is non-existent. Number 8. When full-time work doesn't guarantee a bed. Here is what challenges everything we've been told about meritocracy and hard work. In 2023 to 2024, 56,242 workers across the UK were registered as homeless. 32,138 of them worked full-time. Full-time work, jobs, careers, salaries, and yet they were sleeping rough, in cars, in hostels, anywhere but a proper home. Some estimates suggest these numbers are underreported. We are not talking about people who are lazy or refusing to work. We are talking about nurses, teachers, delivery drivers, shop assistants, warehouse workers, the backbone of Britain's economy. These people keep the country running. They serve your food, teach your children, deliver your parcels, care for your elderly relatives. They are essential workers. The system has decided they are not worthy of housing. The employment pattern changed dramatically between 2023 and 2025. The number of people working irregular hours who became homeless increased by 7.2%. Part-time workers seeking help fell by 15.6%. Why? Because they gave up. They realised that even working multiple part-time jobs would not save them. The mathematics simply does not work. Pay rent or eat, rent or medication. Millions chose to stop paying rent. That is not laziness. That is mathematics meeting desperation. Before we expose the 7 other critical reasons this housing crisis exists and continues to worsen, I need your vital support. If you care about what is happening to millions of ordinary people in Britain right now, hit that subscribe button immediately. Turn on notifications so you see our next investigation. This is not just another housing story. This is about systemic failure destroying our nation. Let's continue. Number 7. What temporary accommodation really means. The government has a solution for homelessness: temporary accommodation. Sounds reasonable, does it not? A temporary place to stay until something better comes along. Except temporary, in government speak, means something entirely different from reality. As of December 31st, 2025, there were 134,210 households in temporary accommodation in England. 134,000 families packed into unsuitable rooms, waiting for permanent solutions that will never come. But here is the real tragedy. Among those families, 85,800 households included children. That means 172,400 children are sleeping in temporary accommodation every single night. These are kids whose homes are temporary hotel rooms, cramped B&Bs, hostel dormitories. They wake up, go to school, come home to a single room where they do homework, eat meals and sleep. There is no kitchen, there is no space, there is no permanence. The most common duration for families in temporary accommodation is over 5 years. 5 years. That is permanent displacement disguised as a temporary solution. Councils are spending £5 million daily in London alone on temporary accommodation. The National Health Service spends approximately £1.4 billion every year treating illnesses directly caused by poor housing conditions. Britain spends more treating the consequences of homelessness than it would cost to house people properly. Instead of investing in prevention, the government invests in treatment. Instead of building homes, it fills hospitals with sick people. 1.3 million dwellings in England have significant damp problems. 1.2 million fail the decent home standard. People living in these conditions develop respiratory infections, heart disease, mental illness, and childhood developmental delays. Temporary accommodation makes everything worse. Children growing up in hostile environments develop anxiety, sleep disorders, and behavioural problems. The research is crystal clear. Housing instability damages physical health, mental health, and educational outcomes profoundly. The system forces this on hundreds of thousands of families, while the NHS foots the bill. Building social housing would save the NHS billions. We have created a system where housing people would be cheaper than leaving them homeless, yet we choose homelessness. We choose the more expensive, more damaging option every single time. Number 5. The criminal penalties for being poor. In 2026, homelessness is not just devastating, it is becoming illegal. The Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Act 2022 created a new offence called trespass, with intent to reside. In reality, it legalises the criminalisation of poverty itself. Under this law, police can seize vehicles being used as homes if they are deemed a nuisance. Your car, your last shelter, your final protection against sleeping rough can be taken away at any moment. In Bristol, authorities started charging council tax to people sleeping in vehicles. Council tax to people with no permanent address. Around 48 to 74% of homeless people are denied registration with a general practitioner because they lack a fixed address. No address, no healthcare. Without healthcare, people cannot work. Without work, people cannot get housing. It is a brutal cycle designed to ensure once you fall, you stay fallen. These legal frameworks are not accidents. They are systematic attempts to hide poverty rather than address it. Local authorities do not want homelessness visible, so they criminalise it. They seize the cars. They make it illegal to be poor, visible and homeless. Number 4. Housing benefit frozen while rents soar. The government's primary tool for supporting low-income renters is local housing allowance. It is supposed to cover housing costs for people on low incomes. In theory, it is a safety net. In practice, it is barely adequate. It was frozen at April 2024 levels until 2026. That means 2 years of price freezing while rent inflation continues at 6.3% each year. The gap widens month by month. As of November 2025, 54% of private renters receiving universal credit reported that housing benefit did not cover their rent. 54%. They are working, they are receiving benefits, they are still short, they are borrowing money, they are going into debt, they are skipping meals, they are choosing between heating and eating. Housing benefit was supposed to adjust with market rent. It has not been adjusted properly in years. 5.7 million households rely on housing benefit to pay their rent. That is nearly 1/10 of Britain's population, living in a system where the financial support supposedly designed to help them is mathematically insufficient. Number 3. The youngest generation locked out of everything. The average age of first-time homebuyers has climbed from 27 in the 1980s to 33 in 2024. That is 6 additional years of waiting, working, saving, struggling. Except they cannot save. Renters in their 20s and 30s are spending 30 to 36% of their income on housing. They are not saving for deposits. They are surviving month to month. The average deposit needed to purchase a home today is £78,131. For someone earning £22,000 annually, that is nearly 2 years of gross income. Yet they are spending that income on rent. They cannot accumulate a deposit. Youth homelessness continues rising. Young people are increasingly ending up in temporary accommodation. An entire generation is told, work hard, get educated, follow the rules, and we still will not let you have a home. The social contract is broken. Previous generations bought homes in their 20s. They built equity, they created stability. This generation rents forever, paying thousands monthly to landlords and building no wealth. Living in temporary accommodation creates long-term catastrophic health consequences that devastate entire families and communities. Children growing up in temporary accommodation have significant developmental delays and educational gaps that follow them throughout their lives and into adulthood. Between 2020 and 2024, 74 children died in temporary housing facilities. This happened in a developed nation, in a wealthy democracy. Most died from conditions directly related to poor housing and inadequate safety. Homelessness is linked to mental illness at 3 times the general population rate. People experience depression, anxiety, trauma, and severe psychological distress from constant instability and uncertainty. The NHS reports that people experiencing homelessness are 6 times more likely to attempt suicide than the general population. They are significantly more likely to die from preventable causes, infection, exposure, and untreated illness. Homelessness reduces life expectancy by 15 to 20 years on average. Someone who becomes homeless at 40 typically dies around 55 to 60 years old. The government spends £1.4 billion treating these consequences every year. If it invested that money in housing instead, these problems would largely disappear. We would save lives. We would improve health outcomes. We would strengthen communities. But the government will not do it because prevention requires long-term thinking that government does not prioritise. Before I reveal the most terrifying aspect of this crisis, I need to ask you something direct and honest. Do you believe this matters? Do you think ordinary working people deserve to have homes? Do you think children should have more than one room? If you do, please share this video with everyone you know. Send it to your family, your friends, your colleagues at work, and your social media networks. Comment below telling others why this crisis matters to you personally and to your family. This is our last and final chance to make enough noise before we completely normalise homelessness in our society. Your voice matters. Your share matters. Your subscription and your comment matter. Number 1. We're building the infrastructure for permanent homeless cities. The most terrifying aspect of this entire crisis is not what is happening right now in 2026. It is what is being deliberately constructed and systematically established for the future. Last year, local authorities spent £2.84 billion on temporary accommodation. This year, spending increased even further. The system is scaling upwards continuously and relentlessly at an alarming rate. Councils are not building homes. They are building permanent infrastructure for temporary accommodation. Nightly paid hotels, private bed and breakfasts, and hostel networks are being set up as so-called permanent solutions to homelessness. The number sleeping rough hit 4,793 in autumn 2025, a record high unprecedented in recent history. Rough sleeping increased by 90% since 2014. Core homelessness will continue rising significantly without intervention. If current policies persist unchanged, homelessness could double to 600,000 people across Britain. Children in temporary accommodation could exceed 200,000 by 2029. The solution exists and it works, proven elsewhere. Housing First works internationally. Building social housing works. Adjusting housing benefit properly works. Britain is not doing any of this right now. We are doubling down on failure. In 10 years, temporary accommodation will be completely normal and accepted. Children will be born into hostels. The Britain we are building is one where homelessness is not a system failure anymore. It is a deliberate system feature. If this resonated, subscribe, hit the notification bell. This is Britain 2026. The system is failing. The numbers are catastrophic. Share this. Demand change. If we don't speak up now, homelessness will become normal. Don't let that be us, please.